Some of these uphills. All right, Shawnee. I see you. I see you. All right, everyone, we're doing it. Night hiking. I went the wrong way, so I've been hiking pretty much in the opposite direction of where the trailhead is. Welcome back, everyone, and as you can see, I am back out on the trail. So I think it's been about a month since my last backpacking trip, and I am super excited to be out of the house and going on another one. So this time around, I am down in southern Ohio at the Shawnee State Forest, and I'm going to be doing about a 24-mile loop on the southern backpacking trail in this forest. Today, I definitely have my work cut out for me. I'm gonna have about a 13-mile hike to Camp 5, where I'm gonna be staying tonight, and then tomorrow I plan on hiking, I think it's about 9 miles back to the trailhead. So I got a lot of work to do today. And I got to the trailhead probably about around 1, a little bit later than I wanted. So I'll definitely be getting to camp pretty late tonight. I expect to be there probably around 6, maybe 7, depending on how quick I can get this done. So I better get these miles in. Let's get started. Well, looks like our hiking buddy brought his dog with him. That's pretty cool. I've been wanting to get my chocolate lab out on a backpacking trip for the last couple of years, and I think I'm gonna give it a shot this year. I'm working on getting her used to longer distances when I take her on day hikes with me, but on a trip like this where you're doing around 10 miles per day, I really worry about how her paws are gonna handle those distances. So hopefully I can do a couple trips this year, get her warmed up, and see if I can bring her on a backpacking trip with me. I'm curious, for anyone out there watching that brings their dogs with them, what did you do to prepare them for their first backpacking trip? And do you have any maybe gear recommendations? I'm looking at getting probably some type of vest for her, and if I'm winter backpacking, maybe some type of bedding, but I'm not sure if it's really needed. If anybody's got any information or comments, feel free to drop them down below. I am very excited for what's going to be on the menu tonight. So I'm going to try something a little bit different. I've seen tons of people doing it, so I figured I'd give it a shot. And I brought a 1-pound ribeye with me in my pack. And I bought a little cooking grate that I'm going to try and cook this one over the fire tonight. We'll see how it goes. Really looking forward to having something a little bit different. You know, usually I'll have my typical mountain house meal. I think usually I get like the chili mac with beef. Hopefully it turns out well. A little salt, a little pepper, and a nice cold beverage to wash it all down. So I am definitely looking forward to that tonight. All right, so who knows what those footprints are? I gotta imagine it's a turkey. I just don't know what else would have footprints that look like that. Well, I just passed Camp 7 here a little bit ago, so I'm probably at a little over 5 miles now. And it's about 4 o'clock in the afternoon. Definitely means I'm gonna get to camp pretty late tonight. I still have probably 7 to 8 miles left to hike, and that's probably gonna take me about 3 hours. So I was hoping to get to camp by 6, but I have a feeling it's gonna be closer to 7 o'clock. No big deal. It means I actually might get to try some night hiking for the first time. I've talked about it in the past, and none of the trips that we've went on, we've had a need to do it. So we'll see how it goes. Didn't know that the backpacking trail here in Shawnee goes on the North Country Trail, which is kind of cool because that has been pretty much the vast majority of my hiking trips and stuff have all been along the North Country Trail. Pictured Rocks, Manistee River Loop, Oak Openings up in Ohio. I don't know if it goes through Lake Vesuvius and Zaleski. I'm not sure about those two, but again, most of my hiking has been on the North Country Trail, and huge fan. Got some pretty big blowdown. I don't know if I should go under it or over it, or around. Man, had to do a little bushcrafting there. That was a pretty big down tree. I couldn't fit under it. I would have had to take my pack off, which might have been easiest, but I don't know. I'm not a fan of taking my pack off in the middle of a hike, unless I'm taking a break. All right, well, I just passed a mile marker, and it says I have about 2.1 miles until Camp 6, and then I'll have another 3.4 until Camp 5. So I got about 5.5 miles left, and it's just about 5 o'clock right now. So I'll probably get to camp still around 7:38. If I was doing the terrain I'm used to, I'd be able to knock out those 5.5 miles pretty quick, but not out here. These uphills are brutal. Now the elevation up here is obviously not very high at all, probably a couple hundred feet. Maybe some of these hilltops might be 1,000, but the slope on some of these inclines, very steep, and it's been a tough one. I am going to be absolutely whooped tomorrow. Thankfully, I'll have a shorter hike, still 9 miles, which is a decent hike, but I'll have to try and make sure I get a good night's sleep tonight. Well, I almost did it. I almost took Camp 6. I just passed it, and I even felt like I had a sign from the backpacking gods because I went past it to keep going on the trail and ended up backtracking and finding myself at the campsite again. So I'm hoping that that wasn't a sign that I should have stayed there. It's about 6 o'clock, so I did make it on time, but that means that I got 3.5 more miles to go. I gotta get a fire going when I get to camp, get my tent set up, get dinner made, so it's gonna be a late one, but I'd rather get these miles out of the way now and be able to kind of take it a little bit lighter tomorrow, have some coffee. Usually when I'm out on a backpacking trip, I feel like I'm in a rush in the morning and I don't get enough time to kind of just hang out and enjoy camp for a little bit. All right, we're doing it. A little bit of night hiking here. Probably got about 2.5 miles left. Feeling pretty good. One thing I am noticing that's a little difficult about night hiking is making sure you're staying on trail. Especially in the wintertime. Right now, the trail is tough to see. I'm really trying to keep an eye out for the blazes on the tree, make sure I don't get lost. That would not be a good situation. Well, if my memory serves me correctly, I should be getting pretty close to camp. I'm hiking along a service road right now, and I believe this leads me right up to the campsite. So hopefully another 5-10 minutes, and I'll be there. I am ready to get to camp. My legs are pretty sore. I am pretty hungry, and looking forward to hopefully getting a nice fire going and sitting by that for a little bit and just kind of relaxing for the night. What a day. Well, I got my fire going, and it actually didn't take that long. There's quite a bit of deadfall around here. The other campsite actually had some old logs in there too that only had a little bit of snow on them, so I got them drying off by the fire right now. Ooh, almost burned my jacket. That happened to my other REI jacket actually. A little ember flew on it and burned a hole in it. I tried picking off dead branches and dead limbs that were already fallen on other trees. Or not even attached to the tree anymore. That way I'm not really disturbing nature too much, and plus they're super dry because they're not sitting on the ground or anything, so some of these have been pretty easy to find. Well, I'm gonna try and find a spot for my steak to get in here, see if I can cook it. Some of the embers look like they're starting to get pretty hot down there, so I am starving. I'm really excited to get the steak on here And I might just pop it right here. We'll see. It looks like a decent spot. Put a little bit of salt and pepper on there. Makeshift placemat here. You know what? I think I'm just gonna go caveman style. Oh yeah, that's good. I don't think this needs to be said, but this is so much better than a mountain house meal. Oh man. All right, well, it's a little bit after 10 o'clock. Fire's starting to dwindle down a little bit here, and I am pooped. What a day that was. And man, that dinner was really good. I'm so glad that I brought that steak instead of a mountain house. So, well, I think I'm going to turn in for the night. I got another big day tomorrow, so I'm going to try and get some sleep, rest up, and I will check back in with you guys in the morning. Cheers, everyone. Nice cold air lowered the temperature of the coffee just a little bit, so now it's drinkable. Well, here's the ridge line. I'm not sure if you can get a good view of it, but there's the ridge line behind me. And we stayed up on this ridge right here. It was a pretty nice campsite. Kind of small. It's a little bit thin back here, but I've had worse, that's for sure. Shawnee's been pretty awesome so far. I've really enjoyed the hikes. They've been brutal at times, definitely. But I do plan on coming back and conquering the northern loop, which I think is actually a little bit shorter. And I would love to come out here for a weekend trip and try and actually do the whole 40-mile loop in one go. So I'll have to start thinking about that in the future. Well, I'm going to finish up my coffee here, pack up my bag, and I'm going to get this hike started. One thing that continues to surprise me about Shawnee is how steep some of the grades of slopes are here. I have literally been hiking for maybe 5 or 10 minutes, and I'm not sure if you can see, but already behind me is the ridge line where I camped last night. High elevation's tough, but these really steep inclines and going downhill too is pretty difficult. You have to be careful, especially in winter conditions like this. when the snow starts to melt a little bit, things get pretty slippery. Well, I had to shed the top layer already. Started to warm up pretty quick there once I got going. Man, it's crazy. I have not seen, outside of the one person I saw yesterday, I haven't seen anybody out on these trails yet. I was expecting to see a little bit more people out here, but it's been kind of nice having a little bit of isolation. Oh, this is gonna be interesting. This is gonna be a pretty big creek crossing here. I'm gonna have to analyze and figure out what way I can get across without getting my feet wet. Those creek crossings in wintertime really freak me out a little bit more, because if you were to slip in, even get your feet wet, in these cold temperatures, you could find yourself in trouble pretty quick if something happens. But thankfully, got across just fine. I could not, however, find the trail once I got across the road. So I had to look at the map real quick. I knew that I was supposed to cross the road, but I just could not find the trail. And it turns out that once I crossed the river, I went the wrong way. I'm loving day 2 so far. I've just been hiking on this flat trail here next to this creek for probably about a mile now, and this is a really nice change of pace from all the uphills yesterday. Based on yesterday's hike, I had a feeling that that short section wasn't going to last forever. Boy, that was one uphill there. Whew. But I managed to come across one of the other mile markers. Looks like I'm about a mile and a half away from Camp 4, so I'm making a pretty decent pace here. Hopefully I stay on this ridgeline for a little bit longer. The views up here are incredible. And I don't have many uphills. Past Camp 4, and I'm keeping an eye out for that bridle trail now. So I should be veering off to the left here in a little bit. And oh boy, looks like we got another incline. All right, looks like I found the bridle trail. Left we go. I can't describe how good it feels to be walking on flat trail right now. This trip has taught me one thing. It's how to appreciate flat terrain. Well, I did it. I had a feeling it was gonna happen. Went the wrong way. Got onto the bridle trail. I went the wrong way, so I've been hiking pretty much in the opposite direction of where the trailhead is. I just passed where I went the wrong way, and I'm back on the backpacking trail. I see the bridle trail I should have taken just ahead of me, and yeah, that little detour probably cost me about 2 or 3 miles and an hour. Whew. Well, lesson learned. Make sure you keep a close eye on the map. I finally spotted the trailhead, and what a great feeling it is. This was another tough day. Did more miles than I had anticipated after doing a pretty long hike yesterday. But overall, it was a good trip. I got a chance to push myself. I got to say, I think this has been the most difficult hike that I've ever done. But I got through it. The steak was great last night. Scenery was awesome, and the temperatures weren't too bad. All in all, pretty good trip.